former tight end for the New York Giants, Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, and now officially a former NFL player because he just retired. But this man has so much going on in his life. Joining me right now, Martellus Bennett. How are you, Martellus?
I am amazing.
Yes, I love it.
It's doing well.
And you told me you're on an awesome tour, not a book tour. So what's the difference? What's an awesome tour like?
Well, I just think that I'm just sharing the awesomeness, right? It's just I made the book and I make the apps and stuff, but I'm doing so many different awesome things that people never really have known about because football always took the lead. Now it's like the football's out of the way. It's like, now check all this stuff out, you know? It's like, so it's just being around and just try to be as awesome as possible with people.
Oh, good. I want you to share your awesomeness here. But real quick, 10 years in the NFL. We enjoyed watching you here with the Giants, and you're just 31 years old. So why did you retire?
Well, I didn't really, like some people say retire, but I just feel like I moved on, right? Mm-hmm. It's a game that eventually you have to retire from. Not too many guys get to choose when they want to retire. The NFL usually retires them.
That's a good point.
So, but for me, I'm just at a state where I'm ready to do more with my life. I'm ready to, add more color to the world and change, make more laughter and more joy with the things that I make. I just wanted to make things, and I've always wanted to make things my entire life, and now it just feels like there's never really a good time to follow your dreams. So it's like, when do you go? When do you go? Like, football is great, but I have all these other dreams I want to do too.
All right, so let's move to that right now then. What is the Imagination Agency?
Well, the Imagination Agency, we're a multimedia company, and I kind of focus on representation. So a lot of my characters are like characters of color. So a lot of the characters that you don't really get to see on screen as often. So I'm telling those stories for little brown and black kids all over the world. So we make interactive apps. I do animation. I make music. I write the books and write films, and I just make like fun stuff. It's really cool. I get to continue to be a kid for the rest of my life.
So I was going to ask you how long have you wanted to do this, but it must have been since you were a kid then.
Yes, from my biggest dream, like I always want to own a theme park. Like that's the ultimate goal, to own a theme park. But I've always wanted to make movies and things since I was a kid. Like I was born creative and I learned to be an athlete. So there's a huge part of me. I feel most like myself when I make things. I feel least like myself when I'm not making things.
So you say your ultimate goal is to own a theme park. So you've got animation out there, you're doing apps, you have your new book. We'll get into AJ in a few seconds. But so I've heard the term Disney when you say you want to be like the next Disney. What do you mean by that? Is that?
Well, I just feel like to be able to put magic in people's lives the way that Disney did. Like the way like Disneyland is not going to be the most happiest place in the world once I'm done. The places I create is going to be the most happiest place in the world, like that you want to go visit, right? So I'm a huge fan of like the fairy tales, the stories, the moments, those magical moments they've been able to create for people. Those are the same type of magical moments I want to create for people. So like, move over Bob Iger, watch out Walt Disney.
Wow.
Martellus Bennett is coming through.
It's Martellus Bennett. I feel like I want to be a kid again right now. Like I just want to watch like cartoons with you. Hey AJ, It's Bedtime is your new book, right?
Yes.
It follows up AJ, It's Saturday.
Yes.
So what's different about this new book? What are some new adventures for AJ?
Well, AJ is this imaginative little girl who she suffers from the Walter Mitty disease. So everything is bigger and more grand than it really is, but it's really just the power of play. In this new story, she's trying to go to bed, but like if you ever try to put your kids to bed, you know it never goes as planned. So here it takes a peek after we close the door and turn off the light, what really goes on in the bedroom with the kids. And so just tell that story, like always, one of my favorite lines is, when there's a party in your room, it's hard to get some rest, and everyone knows that unicorns party the best. You know, there's polka dotted dragons, there's zombies dancing, there's robots playing golf, because that's how I feel about golf. And it's like there's all these different things going on in there, and it's just like this, it's a party in a book, and the app is just a party in your phone.
Oh, that's so neat. Yeah. And you said, so you're inspired and you're trying to bring children of color into these books as your main characters. When did you say, this is my calling, I want to do this? Was there a point at that, and who gave you the first opportunity?
Well, I started a company in 2014 when my daughter was born, and as we started buying children's books and more books and more media, we realized like soon you buy them all, and it's like there's not a lot of books with characters that look like her. And I think it's important for her to see herself in these roles of like magic or going on fantasy adventures, driving spaceships. You know, there's not a lot of kids of color in those types of fantasy adventures, and I think there should be more. And when I first got started, I really just I made my first movie. It was about a penguin named Cosmo. And it's called Zuvi, A Warm and Fuzzy Tale. And
this is an animated movie.
This is my first animated film.
And where can we see this? Like YouTube or where?
Yeah, I can send you. Yeah, it's on Vimeo, YouTube, and stuff like that. So like when I made the first film, I just read books and I just learned. So no one, like when I print my books, I just track them down to ISBN numbers and where they print them up. So I print the books in like Hong Kong and everything. So I just developed the whole structure of the company on my own. And a lot of it's just through reading and listening to interviews and meeting people who's I've had the chance to have conversations with, and I just try to build a company on my own.
What's been the reaction when you go to book signings or when you meet little kids and they see someone that looks like themselves in these books? What's been the reaction?
The biggest thing they always say is like when you hear, "Mommy, it looks like me," right? You know, it's because that's not something that you think about. Like she's just like me. Oh, it looks like me. And AJ is based on my daughter. My daughter name, we call her Jet, but her name is Austin Jet Rose.
Oh.
So AJ is based on my daughter, and it looks just like my daughter too. So for her, now she's at the part like, hey, that's me in the book. Yeah, so it's kind of cool with that. But like the biggest thing is when I'm reading the laughter and the joy and the when some kids be like, giraffes don't talk. I'm like, well, they do in this book.
They do here. They will in your theme park.
Yeah, it's like a Jamaican giraffe. I'm just like, why not? Like a Jamaican giraffe just sounds like a great idea.
All right, let's talk a little bit of football before we let you go. 2012, you're with the Giants. What you like most about your time in New York?
The food.
Oh, hey.
The Giants organization has some of the best food I ever had. But I think New York as a city changed my life. It was when I discovered that it's okay to be yourself, right? Because there's so many people around here. I felt like this is the place where the most people like me, where everyone's just on this great adventure, discovering themselves and making things and doing all these wonderful things. So I was always been grateful to the Giants organization for bringing me to this city and helping me find a part of myself that I knew was there, but I animated my first thing here when I saved the fan that fell out of the stadium. I caught him when he fell, and we did the first animated piece I ever did here in. Was
inspired by that?
Yeah, it was here in
my goodness.
in New York. So like ever since then, I'm like, I just want to do more of this. This is what I always want to be doing. Let's go do it. So, but other than that, just playing here for the organization. The mayor and Tish family are some of the best. The organization is so pretty, and the building's so pretty, and always had top-notch everything. But I think the people here are always like, they inspire me because it's like everyone dresses the way they want to look, do what they want to do, and no one really judges you for being yourself.
The individuality here in New York. Martellus, you were coming off a Super Bowl championship last season. You're with the Patriots, but did you follow at all what was going on with Eli, your former quarterback, when he was benched for that one game and came back? What did you make of all of that from what you know of Eli as a player and a person? I
feel like at some point we all get benched, right? That's just the way the game goes. And I mean, when you got the quarterback position is always different. Like, you know, everybody's like, oh, you can't bitch the quarterback. He's done so much for us.
Right.
And Eli's a great guy. He's funny. He puts grass in your mouth if you let him. If you fall for that trick, don't fall for that trick, rookies.
I've heard about that in the locker room with him. He seems so, mild and mannered. And
he's the type of guy that untwists the salt and then hands it to you. Oh, you want some salt on that?
Boom.
Yeah, he's like, man, he's that guy. So he's really funny, but I think that in the NFL, there's just teams are always looking for a way to win. So it's like it's always somebody's fault. Like, is it him? He's not performing as him, but it's everything that goes wrong, and everyone's trying to look for someone that's the scapegoat. But then you realize like it wasn't him. Let's put him back in the game, like But as a quarterback, you'd be like, all right, you feel like they turn their back on you. Like, I've got you through so many different situations. I've been there for you so many times when things were great, when things were bad, and this is how you want to go. At least let me play it out and then release me the right way if you don't want me to be your leader of the team anymore. So.
All right, let me ask you this. So you were there before Odell Beckham Jr. got there, but I mean, you know what it's like when the media says, the media's on you, there's negative media. You and your brother have gone through that.
I go through it every day.
Michael now with the Eagles, he's going through that a lot. So what is your advice to like Odell? What would you say with all the stuff he's got going on? He's a great talent, but he's got a lot of this media on his back because of what he's doing, social media or whatever, and his antics. Is there advice you give to a guy like him?
Man, I love Odell. My number one go to Odell is continue to be who you are, right? The world is going to try to make you into what they want you to be. But that's not who you are. He's going to struggle more if he's trying to become who someone else wants them to be, because that your soul, that's not you. You got to portray something that you're not. It's hard to be true. If you want to dance, what's wrong with him? He's a fun-loving guy who's very competitive, that does a great time. He balls when he's on the field. He plays at a high level. If anything, people should be worried about him, not as, because he's never really in trouble. People try to make it into be situations like that. So if anything, if he's not performing, that's what they should be talking about. Like, you don't talk about the doctor's life off the field, like, because he's playing at a high level. Now, if the distractions start to affect his play, which it does not, if you feel like it's a distraction to the team or whatever, if you don't want him here, trade him. Don't leave him dangling as bait in the ocean. If you want him to move on with his life, because now you have that bad blood in the air, and if he can't trust the organization, then it's going to be harder to even go out there. So be straight up with him, be honest with him, because he's going to be honest with you. And for him, just keep balling on him. Like, I love him. Man, if I could dance the way he danced,
you would dance more.
I'll be dancing right now. I'll be everywhere.
Do you miss football? Will you miss it? This will be your first year now. They're starting to go back to, you know.
This is probably my first year in 20 years not having football in my life. And no, I'm really caught up with brunch.
You just want brunch.
I just love brunch right now.
Brunch and making animation and writing books.
So for me, it's a different type of competition, different type of work, and I'm fulfilled. I think my identity was never as a football player. So I think most guys really miss it because they miss being that person on the field. But football is just something I did. Creativity is who I am. So I feel like I get to do what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I don't have to worry about breaking my leg or,
You're safe now. Martellus, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so inspiring. It's such good advice. Everyone should listen to him. You don't have to be a star wide receiver.
No,
I love you, Odell.
Yeah, go for your dreams and go for the goal. And when you get the ball this year, dunk on him and be like, I told you so. And pay the man. Just pay the man and get it over with.
You should be an agent, too.
He deserves to get paid.
He's going to be the next Disney and also a sports agent. There you go. Awesome, Martellus. Thank
Jerry
you.
Maguire.
Come back when your big movie release.
Okay, yeah.
And then when you're promoting your theme park.
Yes, I will. You have tickets. You and your family could come.
Thank you.
Or discounted tickets.
All right. A discount. We need you to make money.
Yeah.
Thanks, Martellus.
All right.